A devout Nigerian woman's covenant of celibacy collides with a medical crisis when she's diagnosed with HIV and told she must lose her virginity to undergo life-saving surgery, forcing her to find a stranger willing to break her sacred vow, only to discover the diagnosis was a catastrophic error. Adesuwa's beauty was a whispered legend on the University of Lagos campus. It wasn't just the elegant arch of her neck, the melanin-rich skin that seemed to drink the sunlight, or the curves that moved with a grace that turned heads in lecture halls. It was a light, they said, an aura of untouched purity that both attracted and infuriated. Daughter of Chief Ademola, a wealthy oil magnate from Victoria Island, and Deaconess Ibiri, Adesuwa had grown up in a penthouse of faith and privilege. At 16, kneeling beside her mother's velvet pew at the Redeemed Arena, she made a covenant with God. Her body was a temple, a sacred vessel, and its gates would open only on her wedding night. This covenant became her shield. Through university, admirers came like suitors to a queen, Kola with his flashy cars, Tunde with promises of trips to Dubai. They all melted against the cool, polite fortitude of her no. Whispers followed her. She's proud. She's frigid. She's just holding out for the highest bidder. She bore it with a gentle smile, her heart anchored in her faith and the unshakable love of her affluent family. Years after NYSC, as she settled into a plush role at her father's firm, a different kind of bloom began inside her. It was a hard, painful flowering, crippling cramps, heavy bleeding that stole her vitality. Visits to the best private hospitals in Lagos led to the diagnosis: multiple fibroids, a tangled garden of tissue choking her womb. "My dear, they are too large," the gynecologist, a renowned surgeon named Dr. Idowu, said. "A myomectomy is urgent, but there is a procedural complication." Adesuwa sat in the stark, expensive office, confused. Complication? Dr. Idowu cleared his throat, avoiding her eyes. "The largest fibroid is positioned in a way that, to operate safely, we need better access. The cervical opening is too narrow. It is medically advisable for you to have sexual intercourse first. It will dilate the cervix and reduce surgical risk." The room swayed. Her covenant, the core of her identity, was now a medical obstacle. "But I'm not married," she stammered, feeling like a child. "Your health is paramount, Miss Ademola. The surgery cannot proceed otherwise." A series of pre-surgery tests were ordered. A week later, Adesuwa returned, her spirit prepared for a battle of persuasion with her parents about breaking her vow for health reasons. Dr. Idowu entered, his face a mask of grim pity. The air turned to ice. "Adesuwa," he began, his voice low. "The HIV test, it came back reactive. We did a confirmatory test. It's positive." Time shattered. The sound that left her was not a scream, but a broken whisper. "No, that's not possible. There must be a mistake. I am a virgin." The word, once her pride, now hung in the air, a tragic, absurd joke. The doctor explained possibilities: contaminated blood transfusion, accidental needle pricks, but the words buzzed like flies in her ears. All she heard was the death knell of her life. The covenant was now a curse. Who would believe a beautiful single Nigerian woman claiming virginity with HIV? How could she ever break her virginity now? Who would dare? The news leaked, as secrets always do in Lagos. Her boyfriend, Segun, a sleek banker from a good family, dropped her call mid-sob. His text was clinical: "This is too much burden. I pray for you." Her friends, the glittering society daughters, evaporated, their gossip venomous. All that pretending. She was wild in secret. Even in her wealthy home, a chill descended. Her mother prayed with tear-filled eyes, but flinched at her touch. Her father, burdened by shame, spoke of swift, discreet treatment abroad. Adesuwa was alone in a crowded mansion. The fibroids grew, a physical mirror of her swelling despair. The surgery seemed a distant impossibility. Who would be the sacrificial lamb? She contemplated the unthinkable, hiring someone. The thought made her vomit. One evening, escaping the suffocating silence of home, she wandered to the makeshift barrow park near the local market, a world away from Victoria Island. She sat on a bench, unseen tears cutting paths through the dust on her face. A voice, soft and steady, spoke beside her. "Auntie, your shoe, the strap is broken." She looked down, then up. He was young, perhaps her age, with eyes that held a quiet intelligence, wearing simple jeans and a faded shirt. He was Ifeanyi, a mechanic and part-time keke driver, putting his younger sister through nursing school. He fixed her sandal with deft, oil-stained fingers, not asking for money. Something in his gentle dignity made her talk. The whole horrific story tumbled out. The covenant, the fibroids, the HIV, the abandonment. He listened, not with pity, but with a profound, unsettling empathy. "So this doctor," he said finally, "says you must do this thing to live?" "Yes." "And the other thing, the HIV, you are sure of your truth?" "I have never lied about this." Ifeanyi was quiet for a long time. "I will help you," he said. She laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "Help? How? I can pay you. Name your price." She reached for her purse, the ingrained language of her wealth. Ifeanyi's face hardened, not with anger, but with a deep offense. "Put your money away, Auntie Adesuwa. I am not a runs boy. I see a human being in a cage. I see a truth nobody believes. If your truth is true, then God sees you, and maybe he sent me to loosen the lock." It was the most unromantic, yet most profoundly human negotiation. They met at a small, clean clinic in Surulere, where a doctor friend of Ifeanyi's sister discreetly provided counseling and the strongest protection. There was no pretense of love, only a staggering mutual respect. Ifeanyi treated her not as a diseased vessel, but as a wounded warrior. He was tender, patient, and his eyes never held the lust she'd feared, only a solemn resolve. Afterwards, as she lay weeping, not from pain, but from the sheer emotional tsunami of her broken covenant, Ifeanyi simply held her hand. "Your worth," he whispered, "was never in that. It is in here." He touched his chest, over his heart, and it is still shining. The surgery at the Premium Hospital in Ikeja was successful. The fibroids, monstrous and burdensome, were removed. Dr. Ido was professionally pleased. Adesuwa recovered in her private room, her body healing, but her soul a dormant field of ash. Ifeanyi visited daily, smuggling in fresh suya and laughter, a poor man bringing rich gifts that money could never buy. He never asked for anything. Her parents, relieved at her physical recovery, tolerated the poor mechanic out of guilt. A routine post-operative blood test was done. 2 days later, Dr. Idowu rushed into her room, his face pale, a paper fluttering in his hand. "Adesuwa, there has been a catastrophic error," he stammered. "The HIV test, it was a mix-up in the lab with another patient's sample. The confirmatory test was flawed. You are negative. You do not have HIV." The world went silent, then roared. The foundation of her nightmare was a clerical error. The shame, the abandonment, the shattered self-worth, all built on a lie. A fury, white and hot, blazed through Adesuwa. Her father threatened lawsuits that would shutter the hospital. But amid the chaos, Adesuwa found a strange calm. She looked at Ifeanyi, who stood quietly in the corner, a humble figure in the lavish room. He had believed her truth when no one else did. He had given her the gift of life, not for money, but for humanity. In breaking her physical covenant, he had shown her a deeper one, the covenant of unconditional acceptance. She walked to him, the eyes of her wealthy family and the disgraced doctor upon them. "You knew me when I was nothing but broken glass," she said, her voice clear and strong. "You saw a person, not a problem to be paid off." She turned to her parents. "Daddy, Mommy, this man holds my life in his hands, not because he took something, but because he gave everything when you all gave up." The story became Lagos legend, told in hushed tones in salons, the rich beauty and the poor mechanic. It wasn't a fairy tale without thorns. Chief Ademola resisted. Deaconess Ebieri prayed for understanding. But Adesuwa, tempered in the fire of tragedy, was unyielding. A year later, in a small packed church in Ifeanyi's hometown in Anambra, with the boisterous joy of his community and the hesitant but present blessing of her family, they married. Her dowry was not just money, but a fully equipped mechanic workshop for him and a foundation for women suffering from fibroids and medical stigmatization started by them both. As they danced under the humid sky, the oji tree spreading its leaves above them, Adesuwa knew. Her first covenant had been broken, not by sin, but by salvation. Her value was never in her untouched body, but in her unbroken spirit. And her new covenant, built on the solid rock of seeing truth and selfless love, promised a happiness far richer than any she had ever imagined. Their love story, born from a doctor's mistake and a poor man's courage, became a powerful testament that in Lagos, sometimes, the most precious gold is found not in Victoria Island soil, but in the heart of a keke driver's son.